Welcome to another episode of the Greatness Hour show. It is a pleasure to always come to you, and you know that this is the space where leaders, innovators, and game changers reveal what it takes to rise, to lead, and leave a mark. And today we're going to the US, and we have an extraordinary guest again. And I hope you're going to enjoy this conversation. And we're going to talk about an important topic today. We're going to have a conversation about dementia and Alzheimer. And we're also going to talk about, the new album of our guest today. So just to give you a little bit of background about my guest today is Elijah Rock, and he has a lot of he does a lot. um he is um he is an acclaimed jazz vocalist and a performer, and also a brain health advocate. And that's in this capacity that we're going to talk about, dementia and Alzheimer. And we will know about, he's going to share with us why he actually started to dedicate, his time for on brain, trying to understand the brain, and also, doing a lot of work on that. So let us know where you're watching from. It's always, good to have a pen and paper to really take some notes, because a lot will be shared today, as usual. There's going to be a lot of insight, and just participate. If you're watching live, you can participate as well, ask question, or just give your opinion. It's always welcome. And that's the show is for you, and it's for you to learn from the best, from the greatness engineers, like I call them, to help you to go to the next level of your greatness. So let's start. Let's bring Elijah with us today, and start the conversation on dementia, Alzheimer, and also know what is coming up with his new album. So don't go anywhere. We are starting now. Welcome to another episode of the Greatness Engineering Hour show, the show that is brought to you by the Mireille Toulekima Global Leadership Organization.
Feel is important is if you just look at the word compassion, when it's behavior, it's something that can be learned, and it is something that we can embody through habits and through our daily action.
To get this idea that if we interject this wisdom intentionally, I call them needle movers. It's the needle mover that's missing.
Don't deprive the world of your greatness. Please. Don't do that anymore. Dare to excel, dare to be sexy, dare to be you, dare to be the best version of yourself. Impact yourself positively, and from there impact others. And you are not alone.
Welcome to the Greatness Engineering Talk Show, Elijah. Welcome, and it is a pleasure to host you today and to learn about what you're doing, and especially the work that you're doing on dementia and also Alzheimer, but also understand your career and the impact that you create in the world. So just to, before we start our conversation, just want to add, because I've done, I've just given a short introduction, of you. So if you can tell us who you are and what are the main important thing that we need to know about you.
Well, I want to say thank you, Dr. Mireille, for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor to be on your show. And yeah, I have a very eclectic background. I most of my life has been as a professional artist in the area of music and theater and dance as a tap dancer, but voice. I'm trained in classical music, and so I went down the path of musical theater and classical music, and now a genre of music that we call the Great American Songbook. It's a canon of music that represents the 20s through the 50s. Songs you would have heard Nat King Cole sing, and Tony Bennett, Frank Sinatra. So this is a genre of music that was America's popular music during that time frame, and so I'm a recording artist in that genre. And since then, my father was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease about maybe 5 years ago. I became his power of attorney, and that led me on a journey to become a dementia advocate and the global brain health fellow from the Global Brain Health Institute, which is housed at UCSF in San Francisco. So that was a year of learning, and during that time, I established a few years ago the Elijah Rock Foundation, which focuses on bringing awareness to dementia and also through science, technology, and advocacy. And I'm also now a founding partner of a startup, a tech company called MindSync. And we are disrupting the senior care industry in regards to the electronic health record system, the EHR systems. Making, you know, we're creating a new model that's completely AI driven, AI to support enhanced workflows from skilled nursing to assisted living, home health, hospice, and so forth, that will also connect to the major hospital systems in the US and beyond. And so we are starting to build this platform. And so it's I would say that's who I am in a nutshell. And I know it's diverse, but when you really start to understand the thread that needles, you see how it all connects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was going to be my question, because you basically dealing, with different thing, which is the artistic part of, life and the more technical part. So how do you actually connect all of this? And what are the key challenges? Because it must be very challenging to, or do they actually integrate themselves? Because you have also the music part as well. So how do you manage all of this?
Well, when I have an album out called Memories Unleashed Impulse One. That we just released the album about maybe a month and a half ago. It's on radio now across the US. And so when I was working on that album, I really was focusing on the album. And now that the album is out in the world, you have to let the album breathe. So it's actually a perfect time. I think tasks and projects come in waves. So while that's happening, now we are in this very crucial part of fundraising and preparing with our tech team to build the model. So from another perspective of what I call divergent thinking, I think that my artistic background and my creative background has been hugely beneficial when it comes to thinking outside of the box, thinking creatively, understanding the different components. And I always say, if you're interested in something, it's way easier to learn, right? If you have the spirit of true, honest curiosity, interest, passion, if you have a brain, you will learn it. And if you surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, and you're interested to learn, like, we have a CEO, we have a COO, I have a tech CTO. And these people are experts in their domain. As chairman and co-founder, I have the vision. And the vision takes the creativity not only to understand where the problems are that you need to solve, but who to bring around you. And so that intuitive quality that you may have, understanding soft skills, understanding human motivation and people. I think that's one of the greatest skills that you can develop as a human right now in the age of technology. And that has been that's been in some ways my superpower. And that is completely, in my opinion, driven by my creative nature.
Just it just show that technology is everywhere. So people will say, oh no, I'm not really a tech person and like that, but technology is linked to everything, and it's about innovation. So someone who is artistic, someone who thinks out of the box, can actually bring this innovation and really start to grasp what technology is all about. So that's really good. But coming back to the experience with your dad with dementia, and so what have you learned so far about the disease, about how it affects, especially I understand that you work with undeserved communities. So what are the disparities and the thing that you've picked up and you've been trying to change so far for that particular group of people?
Yeah, thank you for that question. African Americans and people of color, and this is across the globe, are twice as likely to have dementia for a myriad of reasons. There's a lot of issues around education. There's a lot of issues around health. There's a lot of determinants that drive dementia as well. Excessive drinking, excessive, smoking is a risk factor, right? Heart disease, diabetes. In our community, the way in which we historically eat, our diets do not support healthy brains. So we have to be cognizant of the foods that we eat. This is all passed down from the days of slavery. So I think that when you look at all of these issues that are risk factors for brain health, you start to understand too an incredible statistic that I did not know as before I entered this work, is that we are participating in research at a level that's under 5%, closer to 1%. I mean, it's a real issue. So when you talk about latest advancements and new drugs, for example, aducanumab, and so forth. We don't know the efficacy of these drugs in these populations, right? We don't know the efficacy of the drugs in general, but we certainly don't know the efficacy of the drugs as it pertains to our population. So if we're not involved in the clinical trials, then that means that there's going to be a greater disparity in the drugs that could or could not work for us. We have to be in the pipeline, right? So one of the aspects of this ecosystem that I'm very interested in is how do we engage in our community to bring awareness and create a pipeline for inclusion and clinical trial participation. There's also a historical there's historical trauma in our country, and maybe you can relate to this even in your country as it regards to medicine and people of color. For example, the Tuskegee experiment and other experiments on Black bodies through medicine. So it's very difficult for white, so-called white or institutions to come into underserved communities and be the savior. There's a lot of distrust, the stigma, and so it's not just the stigma of the disease itself within your home, right? Of not wanting to share that, your uncle, your mom, has dementia, and the stigma of going to get, to be screened, right? To do a cognitive test. So there's that stigma. But then there's the stigma of dealing with the institutions themselves and what that means, and feeling othered when you come into institutions to be screened, right? And we don't like going to the doctor, and there's a lot of psychological and historical reasons why. So that's a major problem, and they haven't figured it out. I have figured out an approach, and I think that the approach that we are working on is showing through data that it's actually working, and that is tapping into arts-based communal events where you invite a whole community of Black and Brown people and others, but targeted to Black and Brown communities, and you bring them into these communal events through music and arts and entertainment, and then you have the stakeholders there who look like them. That's what you want, right? People who can relate to the physicians and experts in the field, who can educate and also can help reduce the stigma and make inroads to say, hey, understand the data around the research and create opportunities for people to get involved.
You basically have to create a safe environment because, in a lot of, especially Black community, and I'm talking more about, as with my African background, it's still a taboo when you come and talk about dementia and Alzheimer. People don't want to hear that, and they have this taboo that you shouldn't share even in the family, or no, if someone has it, no, it has to be hidden to the rest of of the family or to the rest of the community. So that's good that with what you do is to create this this safe environment where people will kind of be a little bit more open to share because they feel safe and they're not going to be judged. I think that's the thing here. So we're just gonna have a break, but before that, I can see that we have Brother Doji. He was one of my guests last time from the Kingdom of Bhutan, and we talked about women empowerment, and he's really great advocate for women empowerment around the world. So thank you for being back with us. And we have a few other people, watching. But we're going to have a break, and then we will continue our conversation with Elijah. I hope you have your pen and paper, and you've noted, everything that was shared up to now. So don't go anywhere. We will be back in few minutes.
Mayor Kashina A. Cross from the city of Glenarden, Maryland, born and bred all the way from Aberdeen, Mississippi. So joining the big M's. I am a retired Air Force officer from the United States Air Force, 20 years served, 5 combat tours to war, from the Department of Defense and Project Management and Philanthropy. I've also held roles in cyber networks, also all source intelligence, worked with airframes of different types. And I'm going to tell you, the greatest challenge I've met thus far and the greatest success story that I have is leading the city of Glenarden as a mayor. And I'm going to tell you why. Because you get to be an impact agent in the lives of those that need it most. And I'm going to tell you, it's nothing greater than the service that comes with the whole office, if you will, of serving as a public servant.
When people think about retirement, Mireille, they think about somebody in their 60s and 70s and 80s. When you say retirement, and so when I talk to young people, they almost like disconnect from, well, I'm not ready to retire. And I'm thinking, well, what age? Let's change that word retirement. What age do you want to stop working actively for your income and have your income work for you?
I was in a car accident, unfortunately, and it left me unable to walk for 2 weeks. And this actually happened my last year of college. So I was put at a fork in the road, and I had a choice. I could either continue with my education and see what comes next, or I could, take a break or just all out quit. And I truly believe that what you do with your situations, with your limitations, with what God throws at you, really, really makes a difference in your life. It can make a positive impact, or it can make a negative impact. So what I did is I continued forward. And
the great Dr. Willie Jolly once said, a setback is just a setup for a comeback. We've had a lot of setbacks over these last many months, and it may have gotten you to the point where you don't think a comeback is ever possible. But I'm here to tell you, it's never too late.
And my key message, I feel, is that taking care of your own happiness and well-being and prioritizing self-care should be a non-negotiable part of your daily routine. We need to stop having unrealistic expectations for ourselves, for our employees and loved ones and people around us. Because everyone is unique, everyone has their own unique journey, and acceptance of self and others is the key to happiness. It is to start carving these activities in your life that will nourish your mind, body, and spirit, not just the body.
You are an original. You don't have to worry about what anybody else is doing. I've had so many people try to mimic or duplicate what I'm doing, and I don't have a problem with that. And I'll tell you why. Because if God didn't give them the exact same vision, it may work, but it won't work like the vision He gave me. So it's really not competition, it's something else. So don't let fear or competition stop you from going forward.
One quote that I always would love to share with everybody is, no pain, no gain. So don't brood over your challenges, don't cry, just wake up, rise up like the phoenix, keep flying from the ashes, and you will attain what you need to attain. You are born for a purpose, and you have to fulfill the purpose before you hit the bucket.
So plan it, see it, anticipate it. Plan what it is that you want to do. Plan where you want to go. See it in your mind, visualize it, and then anticipate it. Know that it's going to happen.
So we are back. We are back with Felicia. We are back. We're talking about dementia, Alzheimer, but also the album. So I want to talk about your new album so far, and understand, is there a story behind it, and how did it come? How did it come to light? And to bring it to us today.
Yeah, well, the album it's almost like a love letter to my dad, and I picked songs from the Great American Songbook, and the songs tell a story. There's songs that are timeless, like Unforgettable, My Funny Valentine, Is You Is or Is You Ain't My Baby. There's a poem in there, poem to music, where I'm just telling the story, my story with Alzheimer's and my dad. So in the show, I weave this story with him as I set up the songs. So they make even more sense when you see the songs, hear the live performance of the album, because I interweave these little stories that set up the songs. So it's very, very, very personal. I wanted to pick songs that people know, that are in the zeitgeist of this body of work, and I worked with some of the most incredible jazz musicians on the planet, produced by Rayford Griffin. He also penned a lot of the arrangements, along with Todd Hunter, who was the music director for Dionne Warwick for many years. So a lot of these guys who played on the record have very esteemed careers and have played on some of the biggest albums and records in the world, from the likes of Whitney Houston and Tony Bennett and Tony Bennett's daughter, Antonia Bennett. She, of course, Tony Bennett had Alzheimer's disease, and so we connected around this subject matter to bring awareness. She performed in my show in San Francisco, which was great. And so it's been amazing. She's a wonderful artist, and to share this advocacy with her, knowing who her father is, was quite significant.
Mm-hmm. So how do you think it's helping you with creating an impact on the ground? Basically, we talked about the disparity. We talked about the different way of the different way the community are actually resisting to actually even talk about it. So how do you think this album will help? And with the challenges that you still have, while you're doing your advocacy, your brain advocacy, or dementia and Alzheimer's advocacy.
Yeah, I mean, in San Francisco, we had over 400 people show up, and then we did another show in Miami. So the thing is that when I tell my story, even people said that they were more interested in research after the performance, because they could relate to my story. And music is storytelling. The lyrics are, it's just storytelling. And so even on social media, when I post I posted a lot of interviews talking about this album and why I made it. The messaging of what it's about, even like, what we're doing right now. Now people have context, right? They hear the album, but they understand why, I made the album, where the album is coming from, what I intend to share. And that's why that poem, Memories Unleashed, is so powerful, because it kind of brings it all together for a person to, who's listening to the album. So that's what I would say. It's my work continues. It's like a wonderful ripple effect. And I just hope that, when people are introduced to me and they learn more about me, they stumble upon the album, and then they learned a little something about Alzheimer's. They know that they're not alone. There's other
Mm-hmm.
people who are caregiving for their elders, who are my age. We're called the sandwich generation, and there's a silent tsunami of more people who are aging now. And so I think, I just want to let people know that though I'm an artist and I've had this wonderful career and I do these other things, that I'm also a caretaker for my father, and I am, handling his affairs. And yes, that is stressful at times. I'm just moving him now to Medicaid. I just had to move him from one community to another community because this one community, outpriced him. So now we're moving him to Medicaid, and in a new community, which he likes. He's doing well, but that's a lot on me and my family to handle and to make sure that he is taken care of.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's really, like you said, it must be really heavy to have. But obviously, you love your dad, but still, you must have, a time of really where you feel exhausted. And so, how do you replenish yourself? And when you are down like that, what do you do? What are the key things? What are the resources that you use, or what are the strategies that you use so far, and think that you can recommend to someone who actually have to care about someone with Alzheimer as well in their family?
Mm-hmm. Well, self-care is very important, and I appreciate you bringing that up. For me, meditation is a wonderful tool. Just being, just breathing and meditating in silence, taking walks, hugely beneficial. I take a walk with my wife at least, every evening. I also have an 18-year-old who, I'm preparing for the world. So that's incredible and awesome, and also a little stressful because now it's as they say, it's getting real. But he's going off to college in the next month, so very excited. Then I have a 19-month-old, right? So
Wow.
he is a wonderful breath of fresh air. Every time I see him, I was him chirping a little bit in the background of the first segment. And so very fortunate to have my mother-in-law as his, caretaker here with us. But I get to every, break I get, I'll go out and hang out with him, even if it's for 10 minutes, and get a hug and a kiss and hang out with him. So these are the little moments that I try to, the things that I do to make sure that I keep myself. And then I listen to music. That helps too. Just listening to music, having music on as the soundtrack. So I think it's about creating wellness habits for yourself so that you don't feel like you have to, if you don't do anything, well, then you definitely want to start building in these habits. But once you have habits, it just becomes what in that moment is good for you. And you do that so that you can stay. But yes, there are moments where I just, you have to be okay with those moments of stress too, knowing that they will, and this too will pass. And sometimes it just takes this mindset of what can I do today to make myself better, and focusing on small increments of positive change, and not try to think you're going to go from zero to perfection overnight. There's no such thing as perfection. It's all a journey.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the clue, because if you don't actually take moment by moment, and you just want to jump to a big goal, you might get overwhelmed very quickly. And I really like the fact that you're talking about focusing on small increment of positive moment, and then by the time you make those increments, you've accomplished so much. And it's really important. And as you know, as we always say, you have to take care of yourself first so that you can give, the quality time to your dad as well, which is, the spiritual, the wellness. So body and mind have to be ready to take up this, this challenge, and to be able to, to pass on positive energy as well to your dad, because otherwise it becomes really chaotic for everyone, and that's defeating the purpose. And so what are the big lessons when you look at it, with, you look at your journey, with, your dad being, having dementia and Alzheimer. What are the big lessons that you've learned so far, and you think that we should be shared with us today?
Well, I think that we don't have a cure for Alzheimer's and dementia. So I think that anything you do to support awareness, innovation through science and technology as it pertains to brain wellness, brain health, even, it is a very, you'll never go out of, you always have work, because I mean, in our lifetime, I mean, I don't know how soon a cure will happen. And even if there is a cure, brain health is still essential. And so I think that I would like people to speak more about brain wellness than mental health in some ways. And I'm not discrediting mental health, and I get that. And a lot of people know what that means. But I don't know about you, but if you say to me mental health, I all of a sudden have a negative connotation to mental health. If you say to me brain wellness, I have a positive perspective of what that could be. Now, if my brain health is good, that's my mental health will be
good
as well, right? And so I think this narrative of brain wellness and brain health, I think that should be the emphasis. For me, it's way more interesting. You're also connecting, all these things that you're talking about, and the organ, the brain as an organ. It's just way more fascinating to me to understand, how do I take care of one of the most precious parts of the human anatomy, the human brain, and how that brain works, and the things that you can do to strengthen your brain faculty. So I would say, that's why I called my company MindSync, because it's how we sync minds to innovate and solve big problems. And that is what I would challenge your viewers, is to see this your brain as this incredible tool for innovation. The human brain is evolving in so many incredible ways. Lean into AI. I mean, yes, there needs to be certain guardrails around AI, and there is the gloom and doom, and there are things about AI that could be very unsettling. However, if we think about AI from a brain wellness perspective, in terms of the good that could come of it, and we train the models, and we cultivate a technology for the sake of good, and I think we ultimately can see how it can benefit the evolution of mankind.
Fantastic, and that's a really inspiring message, because you can see people are really afraid of AI. I mean, we have a lot of people who are afraid of AI, yet it can be used, like you said, for a positive impact, and especially for as we're talking about brain wellness, as you said, it's an incredible tool to to create some innovation and start solving some of the most critical problems that we have as well. And just for the sake of the the for the audience to understand, what is really the difference between brain wellness and mental health? Because I think there's probably an education problem as well for a lot of us, because when we talk about mental health, I think we think about the brain straight away, but it looks like there's some subtlety and some differences. So what is the difference?
Well, I feel like mental wellness is framed from a psychiatric paradigm, and
Mm-hmm.
we know that there are people who have under that under that labeling have mental health
Mm-hmm.
problems and need to be on meds and
Mm-hmm.
all of those things. And so there is I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's necessary to frame those conditions in that way. When I talk of brain wellness, I'm talking prevention,
Mm-hmm.
intervention, the things that you can do now, even as a young person. Certain
Mm-hmm.
foods, that are supportive of the brain, avocado, blueberries, right? So that's one of the things that I'm conscious of with my young one is the foods that he's eating that I know support his brain functionality, his brain growth, his brain development, right? There's other things as well, but it's the longitudinal journey to
Mm-hmm.
ultimately decrease the risk of Alzheimer's and dementia. And when you look at the
Mm-hmm.
statistics of how many people get that, and stress, which can be also a mental health issue, stress and anxiety, these types of conditions, they are risk factors for dementia, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's multiple kinds of dementias. So um, if you so that's the difference in my
Mm-hmm.
in my mind. It's overall brain wellness that is driven by lifestyle risk factors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and but I think that if you kind of focus on that, then there's the possibility that you could reduce uh, certain areas of mental health that are pre diagnosis. Mental health conditions
Mm-hmm.
are pre-diagnosis. Like a person has anxiety, all of a sudden you want to be on meds. Well, maybe you don't need meds
Mm-hmm.
at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's
Yeah.
these other things that we can do from a brain wellness perspective that actually can de-risk or intervene before you go to that next stage of needing some kind of psychotropic.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. So it is. So I hope the audience understand the difference. I mean, wellness starts, from day one, basically, and it englobes, everything that you do. So in terms of, your diet, also even the your disposition, your energy. Are you a positive person in general, or someone who's really always negative, and then moving as well, because we know that the brain needs some oxygen. So by exercising and doing making sure, and you mentioned walking, even just walking would help to actually keep your brain well. So we're
And
gonna
sleep.
have our last. and sleep as well. And I'm actually not very good at this one, so I'm going to start, looking at my home sleeping pattern really so far. So we're going to have another break, our last break, and then we'll come back to understand really, what's next for you, because with all the work that you're doing, you have the new album, you have the foundation, and some other projects. So what's next, and really understand the legacy that you want to leave. But we'll have a break first, and we will be back after this break. So we are back after a short break just to highlight one of our sponsors. She exists all the way from Florida. And just hello to Janelle Harris, who is the CEO of She Exist and empowering a woman, but also empowering, underserved community as well. So thanks, Janelle, for all your work. And we are back with Elijah. Elijah, I just want to know what's next, because you've been doing so much. So what's next? And a question that I really like, asking my guest is, what is the legacy that you want to leave?
Well, next is launching MindSync's a product. We are an AI data company, and we are really excited to reduce caregiver burden and administrative burden regarding workflow in assisted living, skilled nursing communities, and beyond. So that is huge. And my wife is an executive director of a assisted living community. I understand the pain points of the software that they use, very outdated software. And we believe that this technology will allow caregivers to do what they should be doing, which is caring for others. And so we are, that's going to be, the next 5-10 years of my life, very focused on that. In addition to focused on how the foundation, the Elijah Rock Foundation, where you can learn more at the ElijahRockFoundation.org, and how we can continue to collaborate with global brain health fellows across the country, and support more innovation projects where we conduct research around clinical trial participation and recruitment into these trials. So we will be doing more Memories Unleashed shows across the country. We're looking for more funding in this regard. So that's something. But here's a big thing that I want to say also. there's a lot of issues going on in the science community with the lack of funding and the, that's from the NIH. And I think that the scientists, and for any scientists, you're a doctor, so I'm sure there's a lot of intellectuals and scientists who follow you. And I think that I have seen a disconnect between science and industry. And I think that's a huge issue. I understand, the process of the grant process. It's an arduous process. It's actually a very efficient process, and it's very difficult. And I think that they have been sort of duped into this one ecosystem of funding, and they feel that that's the only relationship that can help fund their work. And that's not true. There's industry partners that want to support science as well, but you have to create those inroads. You have to build relationships. It's like, building relationships across the aisle. Well, you got to do that same thing in this relationship between science. And I just want to say that my legacy is creating a new paradigm of connecting arts, science, and technology. I believe that arts, science, and technology is the trifecta that will solve many of the world's problems. I think you have scientists that sit in their silo, you have tech people sit in their silo, and the arts community sit in their silo. And I think the only way we're really going to solve problems at the speed at which we need to solve them is you bring all three of these transdisciplinary folks' energy background into to the conversation, and you solve these problems together. And I can guarantee you what you will come up with, as I am a living example, will be quite transformational. And that's the legacy that I want to leave behind, as a person who, always continued to think outside of the box, believed in himself to the fact that he could be in circles where I was sometimes I'm the only artistic type in these environments. And you have to have a sense of resilience and a sense of purpose to be confident in yourself, to sit at the table, even if that's not your particular domain, but because you're a person of ingenuity, a person, and your value, even though many in the room may not acknowledge it. Trust me when I say there is an acknowledgement internally, and they will soon express, once they trust and understand the value that you bring, that you are valuable in those circles. And a lot of times we feel ostracized and we feel afraid to move in circles that don't necessarily invite us. No, invite yourself, show up, be in these environments. And guess what? You'll make friends, because it's not there to be an adversary. You're there to build a bridge. And once that's communicated, trust me, you'll make a mark. And that's what I want to be seen, as a person who just innovated in ways that you could have never anticipated. And that, for me, keeps me motivated.
Fantastic. And that's a big, that's a big thing. It's going to have an impact. And I agree with you. We need to create those bridges between art, between technology, between research. And I've seen progress so far, because 20 years ago it was fully separated. We were talking again, recently just about STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Now we have STEAM, which is science, art, technology, and so we're starting to understand that we have to work together if you want to create the right impact, if we want to to solve the big problems of the world. Because otherwise, if we continue to be separate, it's gonna be it's gonna remain a challenge, and it's gonna be very difficult. So great dream to be this bridge that we need. And I also like what you said, is that don't be afraid. You have something to bring. Whatever background you have to be on the table. You have to participate and bring your knowledge. and it will be acknowledged at some point. Trust me. So that's very important. So thank you so much, Elijah, for this very insightful conversation, and also the inspiration to see, to realize what you've accomplished and the journey that you've been on, and continuing to really make an impact, and a big impact, in the world. And that's a very important, important thing. So how do people connect with you if they want to continue this conversation? I'm pretty sure there's so much to learn from you. So just in 1 hour, it's very difficult to get everything. So if people want to continue the conversation, how do they connect with you?
Yes. Email me at eric.myricks@gbhi.org. You can find me through Instagram at Elijah Rock, Facebook at Elijah Rock fan page. So you can DM me on Instagram. I'm very easy to find. If you Google me or ChatGPT me, the Elijah Rock Foundation, there's a contact there. memoriesunleashed.org as well. So pretty easy to find. And I make sure that I take a peek at my socials. ElijahRock.com has a contact as well. So yes, reach out and let's see where collaborations can happen. I mean, you're in Australia, close to Perth. In Perth, I love Perth. Perth is a beautiful country. I've learned a little bit about the Aborigine culture there as well, and I find it so fascinating, and I want to learn more about the culture there, and even bring Memories Unleashed to Australia would be a wonderful. That'd be just, I'd be elated for that. So maybe that's something you and I can work on in the meantime.
Work on, yeah, definitely. And you will learn a lot from the Aboriginals. It's the most ancient culture that we have in the world. So there's a lot to learn. There's something rich that they can bring, and we can definitely, collaborate on that. And we have also Brother that you said, bravo. Thank you very much. And another potential collaborator as well. He is from Butang, and really, doing a lot of things, positive things, to empower communities and around the world. So, Brother Dochi, another possibility to actually connect and create an impact as well, and and extend whatever impact you're already having. So thank you so much for your time, Elijah, your precious time. And it's like I said, it's been an amazing conversation, and I hope the audience really liked it and you took some note. For those who are going to watch the replay, please don't hesitate to comment, and if you need to reach out to Elijah, let me know and I will connect you. And you also have the contacts as well. You can go on his website, elijahrock.com, to get all the contact. Is on Instagram, is on Facebook, and all other platform. I presume there is also a YouTube channel. So just reach out and be part of the people who are changing the world. Be part of the greatness engineers, because we are all engineers. We're engineering things that are actually creating an impact wherever we are, or in our communities, or for people, around the world. So thank you so much. That's the end of our conversation, our show today. I will be back for another episode of a Greatness Engineering show in 2 weeks. And I hope you will be able to join us again. And so have a great weekend, and you enjoy the rest of your day, Elijah. For me, it's gonna be, going to bed now. And but it's a good feeling to go to bed after such a great conversation. So thank you, and we'll stay connected anyway.
Thank you, Doctor. Have a great evening.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.